The day Finnegan discovered electricity, his tank mates thought he had finally gulped one bubble too many. It happened at 3:07 p.m. Finnegan always noted the time precisely, when he nipped a loose copper wire dangling from the castle ornament and felt a pleasant tingle arc across his scales. The humans called the wire a malfunctioning lead, but to Finnegan, it was the key to everything he had ever dreamed during those long spinning wheel nights when the filter droned like a lullaby. Most goldfish forget their own reflections every 30 seconds. Finnegan never forgot anything. He remembered the gentle clink of the pet store bell the day he was adopted, the shape of Mrs. Wyndham's smile as she lowered his plastic bag into the tank, and every line of text that scrolled across Mr. Wyndham's phone whenever the man sat beside the aquarium. Human devices fascinated Finnegan. The glow, the hum, the endless touch tapping that made people laugh, gasp, or raise an eyebrow at 2 a.m. He wanted to know what lay inside those slim rectangles. Wanted to build one that could withstand water, because for fish, air was as lethal as fire. So Finnegan experimented. He borrowed a suction cup thermometer, scavenged conductive filaments from the LED, and convinced Gary the snail to donate a shell fragment smooth enough to serve as a capacitive touchscreen. Gary agreed on the condition that the shell be lacquered in mother-of-pearl filters. Every inventor needs a venture capitalist, or so Finnegan had read in Wired, carefully viewed backward, through the glass, whenever the Wyndhams left magazines near the tank. It took 3 full moons of trial and error. Circuits soldered with biometallic algae, battery cells fashioned from repurposed nitrate packets. The final prototype, no bigger than a dried pea, booted up with a faint aqua glow. When Finnegan flicked his tail across the touch shell, the screen responded, scrolling menus in BubbleScript, his homebrewed programming language that used dissolved oxygen pockets as data bits. "Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted bottom feeders," he announced, gathering the community around the plastic kelp, "I present the iPond." Maribel the Betta swished her flowing fins skeptically. "And what, dear Finnegan, does your glowing pebble actually do?" Finnegan whipped through demo mode. "Camera, check Gary's lent shell refracted enough light to capture stills sharper than any store-bought GoPro. Messaging, check data packets writing microcurrents from one end of the tank to the other. App Store under construction." When he snapped the first photo, a group selfie of 8 guppies photobombing a somber catfish, gasps rippled through the water. Digital images of themselves made by themselves right here beneath the filter's waterfall, unthinkable. Within a week, demand exploded. Finnegan hosted coding boot camps behind the bubbling pirate chest. Octavia, the miniature octopus, became head of hardware assembly, her 8 arms soldering faster than anyone else's fins. The iPod 2, 3, and 3S, Souther stood for Seafoam, rolled off the assembly line. Finnegan uploaded Glimmer, an underwater social platform where fish could post selfies, trade snail races, and live stream snail races. Words swam beyond the Wyndham residence via pipes that connected aquariums across the suburb. A Molly in apartment 12B DM'd her cousin in the dentist's office tank downtown. Soon, every bubbler-equipped habitat boasted residents flaunting iPods hung from decorative coral lanyards. Nighttime, of course, was prime posting time. Human owners thought fish went dormant once they flicked the room lights off, but fluorescent moonbeams from the tank hood created perfect studio lighting. Selfies flooded Glimmer, angelfish voguing above treasure chests, neon tetras forming synchronized hashtags, Zebra Danio staging an avant-garde light painting series using bioluminescent plankton. The humans slept, their pets went viral. Finnegan watched in quiet satisfaction until the night the scandal hatched. It began innocently enough with a promotional challenge. Glimmer, now boasting 10,000 registered users, announced Nocturnal Narrative Week. Post the most creative after-hounds photo, tag at Midnight Swim, and win a year's supply of premium flakes. Finnegan hoped to boost engagement. Flakes were cheap currency in the attention economy. Pepe the dwarf puffer in 7C decided to participate. Pepe adored selfies, but loved drama even more. He waited until 1:13 a.m. when Mr. Collins, his owner, habitually crept into the living room, Finnegan had noticed the pattern through a neighboring tank's window reflection. Collins would turn on soft jazz, pull out neon spandex, and practice disco moves in front of the widescreen TV. A harmless secret until Pepe's lens captured everything. The resulting image displayed a grinning puffer photobombing Collins' mid-Saturday Night Fever pose, chest hair poking through a gold llama V-neck pose. The post description read, "When your human thinks no one's watching, Midnight Swim, Midsummer Ray, post this record." When your human thinks no one's watching, Midnight Swim, an unsimulated. Pepe uploaded it to Glimmer. Octavia's load-balancing servers dutifully mirrored the content to every tank in the network. Normally, human elements and photos were cropped out by privacy algorithms, but Pepe had toggled pro settings, bypassing default filters. The image blew up underwater 2,500 likes in 8 minutes. Laughter shook ceramic castles. Then an overeager hermit crab named Lenny cross-posted it to Faceboy, a bridge site that mirrored certain Glimmer feeds onto human social media to lobby for better algae pellets. Lenny forgot to strip metadata, hashtags, geolocation, timestamp, all intact. At 7:02 a.m., Mr. Collins' co-workers were eating bagels when they saw him trending at Funky Fish Files. By 10 a.m., BuzzFeed published 10 aquatic photobombs that will make you question your privacy settings. CNN picked it up by lunch, running the chyron. Goldfish gadget exposes human nightlife. Panic spread faster than fin rot. Owners everywhere yanked blankets over aquariums, taped cardboard to the glass, unplugged filters to stop data leaks. A senator from Ohio called for congressional hearings on ichthyo surveillance. Advertisers salivated, civil libertarians fumed. Teenage TikTokers attempted to train their betas to livestream them sleep dancing for clout. Meanwhile, Finnegan's notifications sounded like marimba hail. Hate mail arrived via suction cup notes stuck to the glass. Stop spying. Fish are for decoration, not an invasion. One postcard bore a crudely drawn sushi roll captioned, "Keep it up and see where you end up." Finnegan convened an emergency summit beneath the driftwood arch. Octavia, Maribel, Gary, and representatives from 20 local tanks attended through holographic bubble avatars. The vinegar eel delegate's feed was blurry, but the outrage came through loud and clear. "Your tech jeopardizes our very safety," shrilled Maribel. "Do you want to be shut in perpetual darkness?" Finnegan flicked his caudal fin contemplatively. "Innovation always outpaces etiquette," he began, channeling his inner TED speaker. "We need policy transparency, consent, maybe optical cloaking for humans who decline inclusion. Or how about we just stop filming them altogether," suggested a Plico sporting digital pajamas. But the genie was out of the bottle and wearing glittery platform shoes. The press outside, human and aquatic alike, demanded answers. A week after Pepe's post, the Wyndham's living room transformed into a media circus. Satellite trucks idled curbside, reporters crowded the aquarium, pressing lenses against glass while Finnegan floated center stage, adjusting the lapel of an imaginary blazer. "Mr. Finnegan," barked a journalist from TechCrunch, "are you operating a data harvesting operation?" "Miss Finnegan," corrected a fashion blogger. In Fish's world, gender pronouns were fluid, fluid. Finnegan declined clarification. "All I ever wanted," the Goldfish replied through a Morse code bubble translator clipped to the rim, "was to give aquatic citizens a voice. Humans record us constantly baby videos, feeding time clips, slow motion TikToks, karate chopping pellets into the tank. We never consented either, you see." The room hushed. No one had considered that angle. A toddler paused mid-scream, pacifier dangling. Finnegan continued, "Privacy is mutual. If humans dance at night in neon spandex, that is beautiful. But perhaps they should share willingly, not accidentally. Let's work together. Cameras can blur backgrounds, or fish can turn off lens functions after dark. Harmony, not hostility." Off camera, Mrs. Wyndham peered at her husband. She too had a secret. Late-night true crime podcasts. Listened to while wearing a moisturizing green face mask that made her resemble an undercooked zucchini. She cringed at the thought of those images popping up on Glimmer. That afternoon, an ad hoc negotiating committee formed. Finnegan, Octavia, and Gary representing aquatic interests. The Wyndhams and 3 homeowners association members for Team Human, plus an ethics professor who'd flown in from Stanford to mediate. They met in the living room. humans seated on folding chairs, fish bobbing behind glass, Wi-Fi routers humming like cicadas. First agenda item: consent protocols. Finnegan proposed optical recognition bubbles, or B-orb mode, where the iPod's camera detected human features and obscured them with floating emojis, unless the human tapped a nearby QR card granting permission. The humans like that. Second agenda item: quiet hours. Humans requested blackout periods after midnight. Fish argued nocturnal species needed all hours connectivity. Compromise: 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. courtesy curtain, during which cameras defaulted to macro focus, capturing only subjects within 4 inches of the lens. No wide-angle gotchas. Third agenda item: revenue share. Since Pepe's photo had racked up 5 million views, advertisers wanted in. Gary, smelling algae flakes, negotiated a 30% cut of any profits from human viewable fish content, payable in premium spirulina wafers and high-grade snail calcium supplements. Papers were signed, flippers shaken, and Finnegan updated the iPod firmware overnight. Version 4 introduced dual-layered encryption, facial blur algorithms, and a disco preset that automatically added sparkles to any human wearing retro attire, a playful nod to Collins's original scandal. The next morning, Finnegan uploaded a global address. The video opened on him swimming against a shimmering backdrop of bubble screens displaying the world's aquariums. "Citizens of water and land," he began. "Technology is a mirror. Sometimes it reveals what we didn't mean to show. Let's polish that mirror rather than shatter it." Reaction was cautiously optimistic. The New York Times ran an editorial titled, "When Fish Invent, When Humans Adapt." Wired offered Finnegan a guest column. He dictated it in binary bubble bursts. Mr. Collins embraced his newfound fame, launching a midnight dance fitness channel, the first human to livestream through Glimmer's categorical crossover. He even sold neon spandex branded with cartoon puffers. Sales of iPods skyrocketed. Now, with UL certification for ethical optics, pet store chains stocked them beside algae wafers. Finnegan filed patents, listing Gary as co-inventor to secure snail welfare. Aquatic startups blossomed. A seahorse VR company, a clownfish meme aggregator. The senator from Ohio withdrew her proposed surveillance ban after receiving campaign donations from Big Fish Tech Pack. Yet, not all were satisfied. A fringe movement, the Bull Backlash, argued for total digital detox, claiming screens produced unnatural light patterns that stressed guppies. They staged filter blockade protests, chanting "No streams in streams." Finnegan met with them, listened earnestly, and introduced a grayscale Zen mode to minimize overstimulation. Slowly, tensions cooled. Even Bull Backlash founder, a venerable koi named Nakamoto, admitted that group meditation apps improved his circadian rhythm. Months passed, seasons changed, the frenzy faded into cultural folklore. Another chapter in the long saga of technology's push and pull. Finnegan, always restless, moved on to new projects: hydrodynamic hoverboards, probiotic water conditioners, quantum-encrypted bubble mail. But every so often, late at night, he opened Glimmer's archives and revisited Pepe's infamous selfie. There, frozen in time, was the moment worlds collided. A laughing puffer. A startled disco dancer. Neon lights shimmering off aquarium glass. A mistake, yes, but also a spark. A reminder that invention's first ripple can cause an unexpected tidal wave, and that progress, like water, finds paths nobody forecasts. One Friday near the end of summer, the Wyndhams hosted a small gathering. Friends arrived carrying casseroles and craft beers. Conversations drifted from baseball to crypto to, inevitably, fish phones. Curious guests peered into the tank. "Is that the genius Goldfish?" asked a woman in a sunflower dress. Finnegan, recognizing press interest, twirled gracefully, then tapped an icon on the Castle Mount smart screen. Above the tank, the family projector flickered to life, displaying a live feed. In it, Finnegan held a virtual pointer, highlighting slides titled "Mutual Observers Toward a Post-Tank Society." The crowd chuckled, impressed. Midway through, Mr. Wyndham cleared his throat. "You know, I used to think he was just swimming in circles." Mrs. Wyndham sipped Chardonnay. "Turns out, We were the ones in circles. Finnegan winked, or rather, blinked slowly, which for a fish is essentially the same, and resumed his lecture, already plotting the next release. iPon 5 featuring cross species, translation in real time. Because why stop at humans? There were dogs by water bowls, cats on countertops, and birds in hanging cages, all brimming with stories to tell. Close to midnight, the party wound down. Friends departed. The Wyndhams dimmed the lights, but per the newly minted courtesy code, left a soft amber glow so nocturnal fish could navigate. Outside the window, cicadas hummed. Inside, bubbles rose like champagne. Finnegan floated at the glass, watching the couple slow dance to an old record, swaying in whisper-thin silhouettes. He raised his tiny phone, then hesitated. Respectfully, he enabled orb mode. The camera blurred human faces, leaving only two shimmering outlines rocking beneath starlight. He snapped the photo, added the caption, "Companionship comes in currents and chords," and posted to Glimmer, tagging @HarmonicWaters. The image earned modest likes, nothing viral, nothing scandalous. But Finnegan smiled, if fishes can smile. The tech worked. Boundaries held. And somewhere in 7C Pepe the Puffer scrolled, nodded approbation, and refrained from toggling pro settings. In a world newly mindful of mutual privacy, that was progress enough. Aerated by the steady whoosh of the filter, the tank slipped into hush. Finnegan tucked himself beneath a silk leaf, dreams flickering like static. Tomorrow he'd adjust battery chemistry, or debug translator lags, or test the hoverboard prototype. Tonight, he let the gentle rhythm of human footsteps upstairs, the distant vinyl crackle, and the soft glow of ethically framed selfies lull him into rest. Between two worlds, water and air, silence and song, one genius goldfish floated, forever plotting, forever balancing invention with respect. And in that fragile equilibrium, both fish and humans discovered they were not so different. Curious creatures drawn to light, eager for connection, and, when confronted with their own reflections, capable of learning how to share the dark.